There's a lot of a debate on topics like the 3D world, the 5D world, and the such. But ultimately, a lot of people seem to be ending up into these topics, talking, supporting, or not caring about those. So the question would be, what exactly would be the so-called 3D Earth and 5D Earth? Well, to put it in a nutshell, the very simple point about these concepts is that the 3D world is not referring to a mathematically geometrical world. It is referring to the belief systems that we have lived in. The 3D world refers more or less to the last years, thousands of years that humanity has lived through. More so, the up to 4,000 years of living in ignorance and, well, pendulating further and further away from awareness. And now, at the end of these 4,000 years, the awareness is slowly and surely catching up to us humans. And we are more and more realizing the deceptions from beyond the veil. The fact that a lot of the things we've been told have been just, well, machinations made to program us to accept a certain reality. Because in the end, the set of beliefs that one believes in, that one accepts, can easily become someone's reality. Yes, because there is experiential reality and there is reality as it is. Everyone having typically a life that doesn't present them much beyond their senses will more or less be a mundane life where everything that their senses can perceive is obviously the utmost that there can be. Such people cannot easily accept the fact that there are so many things beyond their senses. And in the end, even science says our eyes can perceive around 0.035% of the visual light spectrum. This visual light spectrum goes so much broader because in the end what we perceive is less than 1% of the visual light spectrum, which makes us pretty blind in the cosmos. So ultimately, many people end up believing they just live in the mind, and the mind just absorbs ideas, opinions, thoughts, and all sorts of the such from other people. When someone came into this world, obviously they didn't have any thoughts, ideas, emotions, and the such. When someone simply leaves this world, well, all of these ideas, opinions, and the such, they will simply be left with the rotting brain. And, well, a karmic essence of those will be taken by the so called soul when it departs. Well, I'm calling it a soul because this is what people are used to. The 5D Earth is basically a new version of us humans, which will be, far more awakened and enlightened. I'm not talking about woke culture, which was nothing else but the same traditional mockery of something that is human. Because all these six societies have been doing up till now is turn humanity into a mockery of themselves, and then not only make fun of it, but also turn it into an even worse charade, in which death, deception, decay, decadence, and the such are turned into norms, and then also into a charade where, the wealthy laugh at, those who simply live through those emotions. And, well, it's all about keeping everyone in as miserable conditions as possible, because a lot of the people will simply give up their hope. Psychologically speaking, when someone gives up their hope, they give up their patience. Once they give up their patience, they're just going to be slaves of their impulses. All that the sick society has to do next is to decide which impulses those humans will have to go through. Because problem, reaction, solution, yes, always creates troubles, after which you present yourself as the so called savior. This is part of what some people, prefer to call as the 3D world. The 3D world, the Matrix, all sorts of concepts like this, which sound woo-woo in a way, sound very intricate maybe, but they are just a reference of the older patterns of life. Patterns of life where humans just mindlessly follow what a sick society is telling them, fully convinced that something beyond them will do all the work possible for them, right? It is the epitome of slavery towards concepts, because this is basically what a sick society craves. Humans who give up their own discernment, who give up their own power of choice, so that they follow someone else, right? It is much easier to be, the slave in a way, because you're always going to be told what to do. You always will stay in the safety that there is no responsibility to take. You will always be told what to do, right? And to a lot of people, it is super easy. Ever since you're a child, you're going to be told what to do. You're going to end up in a kindergarten. Obviously, you're going to be told what to do. And obviously, most likely, everything that you have to say, offer, do, give is not good enough, anyways. Once you go through school, you're going to go through the same bullshit again. You then end up in college, which most likely will give you the same bullshit. By this time, a lot of people already give up and they just embrace this idea of being told what to do. Then you go to a stupid job where, you're always going to be told what to do and that you're not doing it fast enough, good enough, and whatever else. And then, you work in this stupid ass job or probably other similar jobs where you find kind of almost the same idiotic people. In the 5D, things most likely people refer to things as having changed. They refer to a world where empathy exists, where humans know what socializing is all about, and creating a world where communion exists, because communion is that which prevents a sick society from spreading. It is basically communion is a result of empathy, and empathy is the vaccine against this sick society's conundrums, ideals, agendas, and, well, obviously, the greatest root of sick societies, that of isolation. Because everything that you see nowadays is all about isolating people, contrasting opinions, contrasting political agendas, contrasting agendas in like everything. You see people fighting for their favorite actors, for their favorite football teams, for their favorite anything that they may favorite. People will definitely fight because they don't have any meaning in their life and they will fanatically seek that. You most likely know people who end up thinking that the few things that they do are obviously the most complex or the best or the such. Politics is no difference because, politics, sports, music, anything can be used by people to turn themselves against the others. In isolation, everyone else is the enemy, and, well, they are the only ones fighting against everyone else. They are always going to end up as those who are always right and everyone is wrong, right? Because of lack of attention and the such. Such cripplings of the mind and emotion typically are said to be missing in the 5D, where people, become more awakened to their emotional needs. They become more aware of the such, and they become more empathic. Empathy is something that is required to simply soothe this sick society. But the problem is, this sick society is not going away. You've been told all sorts of things that, the 5D is coming and the split exists. See, this split against the 3D and the 5D is very simple to observe. It is just one single choice, and it's a very obvious choice. It's not necessarily of calling the old world or the new world, right? It sounds a bit too convoluted, too sci-fi and such. See, it's all about a choice, whether you want to be prosophobic or not, whether you want to be a supporter of change or you want to be against change, because, well, some people simply prefer to stay retrograde and, they hate change. Well, change is the only constant in the world. You will see a lot of people will always oppose change, and it's typically the older generations who will oppose all the potentials of the newer generations. They will have sooner or later to understand the fact that the newer generations have answers and possibilities and capabilities which no longer serve the older times. But in the end, since these older generations have gone through themselves, seeing how they have been sabotaged by their forefathers, yet again it is much easier to be the miserable than to be the empathic one, and simply realize that the newer ones may have better ideas. In the end, it's going to be their world, because the older generations aren't going to stay here forever. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenc Board signing out.